So you're looking to buy a used car, but you don't know where to start. If you try with Carfax, probably it's gonna cost you $50 to $60, and it's only gonna tell you anything that's with insurance claim. What if I told you if you're spending $30 right now, and you will be able to tell if the car has been in previous collision, any panels been repaired or replaced or repainted with this device right here. And I'm going to show you how to use it, what it is exactly, so you'll have the peace of mind when you're purchasing a used car that's new to you. Taking my car as an example, the 2020 BMW G20 M340i xDrive. I bought it last year from a dealership. I saw from the Carfax, that's complimentary from the dealership. There was a claim for $2,000. It did not specify where it was, what it was, where it was repaired even. So this is where I think this device is going to come in handy to tell you perhaps which panel was involved with a collision, and if it was severe enough for you to steer away from the car, or this is something that's really minor, and if you really like the car, that you should still buy it. And this is a paint depth gauge, so it's going to tell you how thick the paint is on the car. If later on I want to become a car detailer, I may need something that's more advanced in terms of technology, or perhaps just the battery lifetime, etc., that may be able to give me a printout so that I can hand it out to my customers to tell them this is before the car was polished, this is after the car is polished, how much paint did I take off from the car. So I'll just take my car as an example to tell you how does it work. I just turn it on, and then I'll change the unit measurement to mils. This is something I normally would use. You would just go on about pressing onto a car, and then it'll tell you this is 3.9 mils of thickness. And at this time, since our topic right here is to buy a used car, if it's worth buying, if it was previously involved with a collision. So we're not looking for any number in specific, but we're looking at the inconsistencies between numbers and across the entire car between all the panels. So we'll start with, normally you will start with the hood, the fenders, both sides doors, trunk lid, as well as the roof. That's going to serve us as a baseline number. Why? Because when the collision happens, it could be a front end, it could be a rear end, but very, very unlikely it will be to the roof for whatever reason. It can happen because this is a unibody vehicle. When energy travels through, for example, from the front end, and then it may go on top to the roof, but unlikely. So this is going to serve our baseline number from the roof. Oops. This is a 6, a 7, 6, 8. So normally when I'm trying to look at a panel, I will go about 4 corners and then somewhere in the middle. Since this car obviously has a sunroof in here, it's hard for me to go with it that way. But the general rule of thumb is 4 corners, or each corners at least, and then from the middle, and depends on how big the panel is. If it's a roof without a sunroof, probably you want to do several reference here, and there. So that will tell you perhaps this section was repainted. And go about into the actual, say, exercise or practice with my car. We'll just do one here. We have a number of 5.4, one somewhere around here, and this is 5.5, one in the middle right here. This is a 6.1, one right here, 5.7, and then this is a 5. And what you want to do is to move to the other side and do the same thing. 5.4, 5, 7 1, 4 7, 5 7. What this is telling us is that somewhere in the middle here, it's higher in our reading. But normally when you're trying to repaint a panel, you would not just spray in the middle. And this is an inconsistency from the factory painting as far as I am guessing. So this is not something that I would take into consideration thinking this panel in the middle was repaired. I don't think this side or the other side even was involved with a collision. And when I checked the entire car last year when I bought it, I checked all the panels that I can do a reading on. Everything seems pretty consistent in terms of the number of reading. And what I cannot tell with this device here is that if the panel is plastic, so side skirt for example, bumpers, they are plastic. The bumper covers, they are plastic. So this is not a device that can catch any paint depth on plastics. What I'm guessing that $2,000 damage on my car before I bought it was that bumper scratcher probably was repaired, repainted, and removed, reinstalled. That was $2,000. I'm not surprised at all, being a German car. So mainly with this device here, for $30, you're looking for inconsistencies between numbers for each panel and when you're comparing to the other side. And you will be able to tell perhaps this car was in a collision previously or was not in a collision previously, that you will be able to make your decision and see if this is a car worth buying that's safe for you to drive. Excuse the madness in the garage, but I'm just going to use my roommate's car as an example to show you what I am claiming, how this device will help you. This $30 device will help you in purchasing a new car to see if it was involved in the collision previously. And the roof panel, it's going to be your baseline number, because normally when a collision happens, it's only going to be the front, rear end, door panels on each side. The roof normally should not be impacted unless something really severe happened, and which likely going to be a total loss anyways. So this is our baseline number, 7993, which is pretty high, pretty inconsistent somehow. And this is 7998, 7987. And I know his car was previously involved with a collision previously at the rear end. And this should go to show that, see, this is way higher than the 7.9 or even the 9 that we had previously on the roof. This is 12. This is also 12.7. Let's move on to the trunk lid. 11. 10, 10, 10.3, 10.6. If you move to this side, 13, 14. This is 8. And if you move along, which I believe, let's just say the front door, it's gonna be a 9, 8. Going back to the quarter panel, 12. And now that goes to show you what I'm claiming, that this device is something that's really worth $30 if you're trying to buy a used car, and it's going to tell you way more than a Carfax can tell you, because a Carfax will only show you anything that's for one car for like say $50, $60, right? And with this device, you can tell which side perhaps was in the collision previously and how big was the collision involved with. For example, this car, we know that the deck lid or the trunk has been either repaired or replaced. The quarter panel very likely was repainted, at least. And I don't remember the door if I did it or not. Was not. So it goes about to the quarter panel, and it was a rear end collision as far as we can tell, right? So now you will make your judgment call and see if it's worth it, because the quarter panel was repaired previously. It was in a collision previously. And if you are spending, say, 10 grand on the car, is it worth it to you to have a car that had previous collision records on it? It may not even show up on the Carfax if the owner chose to repair without going through insurance. So this is just something to keep in mind and how well do you actually know the car. That's it for the introduction to you how to use a paint depth gauge. All in all, I'm not really trying to tell you not to buy a Carfax, but just telling you that there are other viable ways for you to tell if a car has been possibly previous accident that could be concerning to you upon your purchases. But there are also, among many other things, the powertrain, which is more so your engine, and there is also the drivetrain, so like any suspension components, your transmission, for example. That's also something that you want to keep in mind if you're not mechanically inclined, you don't really know what you're looking at. Perhaps it's best for you to leave that to a professional to inspect it. But if you are mechanically inclined, you kind of know what you should be looking at. You're mainly just going to be looking for any fluid leaks. Fluid could be oil, could be transmission fluid, for example. But you want to also look at things like those more so underneath the vehicle, which I like to take pictures with my phone just going under, like fishing underneath the car, because it generally won't be able to see any leaks. If it's like slowly developing, you are not going to be able to see anything like that. I will fish my phone going underneath the car, more like a 6 point of contact. So I'll go in from the front, take a picture underneath the car, and then I'll go on the sides by like just behind the front wheels, both sides, take a picture of the underneath going across the car, like the opposite point, like an X point. So I'll have 6 pictures total, and the last one being a picture going underneath from the rear, like from the exhaust, and going forward or like in front of the car. A practice that I like to use is when you go with your eyes and go lengthwise, look at the car, almost sitting like right next to the car, and then go lengthwise and see if there is any reflection that's off. There are some, I call them hidden dents. But again, those aren't really important, but just may affect the value of the car. Depends on how you look at things, right? And lastly, I want to tell you my experience working as a vehicle inspector and just buying cars from the collection I've mentioned in my previous videos. As exaggerating as it would go, I really do feel like almost a car when I'm looking at it, I can kind of tell what kind of life it's been at for. Taking my car, like this car, the 2020 BMW that I have driving right now, as an example, I can tell that the previous owner has or had a dog because the tint is all scratched up, like the window tint is all scratched up, and it doesn't look like it's from human. So my only explanation could be is a dog and the claw just going over the window. And I could also tell that the previous owner is very likely family oriented, because the rear seats at the passenger side, it's dented up. I'm pretty sure it's a long-term kind of thing, that there was a baby seat that's mounted at the rear right seats. But ultimately it depends on what you think excuse me, for about the vehicle. If it's something that concerns you, because for whatever reason, perhaps for resale value. So that's going to be something to keep in mind that when you are looking at the car, to buy a used car, especially if it's your first time buying, or whoever you're buying is their first car. Obviously you want the car to be, well, first of all, safe for the person to drive, right? And the next one is going to be mechanically sound. Make sure there isn't going to be any problems down the road just because of, let's say, like oil leak, and then you're gonna spend several hundreds, could be several thousand of dollars to fix it. That could be your bargaining point. I'm not saying to tell you to lowball people. I, like, as a car owner who may potentially sell cars, it's something that's really annoying. Don't lowball people. But if you do see something that's worth bargaining for because you're going to have to fix it later, that's your bargaining power. Knowing where to look and what to look is going to make your process of buying a used car a lot easier and avoid any potential problems down the road. So with that being said, that's the conclusion of the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned how to use paint depth gauge and what to look out for when you're buying a used cars. If you know anyone who is trying to buy a used car in the soon future, send them this video as soon as possible so that they don't get scammed. And you know, potentially they're gonna be saving a lot of money because of you sending them this video. So if it was helpful to you personally, please give it a thumbs up. If you feel like it's something that's useful to your friends and family, that's going to help them, please share this video to them and ask them to get a thumbs up from them as well. If you're new to the channel, welcome, first of all, or actually last of all for now, but please subscribe to my channel, or consider subscribing, because I do post up some what I believe to be useful videos to most individuals out there who own a car or will be owning a car. So that's it for now, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers!